What is up, beautiful friend? So, I am going to talk to you and reveal my first book. Ta-da! This is Blueprint to the Heart, a Sovereign Healing Journey. And this is a book that I have been working on for a little over 18 months now. So, if you are not familiar with me, first of all, I am Elaine and I have a business called Heart Activation. And what had prompted me in all of this is because I am someone with extensive lived experience in some of the darkest experiences of life. Childhood trauma, molestation, we have abuse, we have addiction, dependencies, neglect, emotional neglect. I mean, it really is just like everything. There's so much within my story that people could be like, "Oh my gosh," like I can and at some point I had been someone that had been like played, I don't want to say the victim because I didn't know any better, but I definitely was someone who I didn't know how to work from those circumstances. I didn't know how to heal beyond what my circumstances identified me as. And I stand here today as one of the most compassionate, loving, caring, and empathetic people. And I didn't allow for the trauma and for those woundings, those imprints, and that pain to harden me. I mean, for some time I did, absolutely. But now I have allowed that to actually become part of the light that I bring to others and allow this to be an advantage because I know I'm not the only one that struggles with addiction, dependency, codependency, like just being dependent on people, on relationships, on anything that distracts me from myself. We are in such a culture where it is completely normal to be distracted from yourself and to be completely disconnected from your authentic self. And so I have had I had a suicide attempt when I was 14 years old, which basically started my whole pathway and journey into therapies, therapeutic treatments, and stays, mental health facilities, psychiatric wards, AODA treatments, trauma treatments, PTSD treatments. I mean, literally, I went into every program that there was available. I had any counselor that would take my insurance, I would take them. And sometimes I saw 3 counselors at once. And with all of these things, right? With all of these, and I'm not saying that I had amazing teams. I really did. However, there was not there was something that was missing that was not able to connect the dots, right? So within all of this, it was me still depending on someone else. Within all of that, it was me still being reliant that somebody else knew the answers and that I was not. I was just an insignificant person who was immorally bankrupt and was deficient in knowing how to live life. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. And so through all of those programmings and those constructs and the therapies and everything, in 2017, I had one of the biggest and most beautiful breakdowns that had allowed me to see beyond the labels of what I was wanting to heal. And instead of fighting, I actually was surrendering into digging out like what is really the root cause of me continuing to pick up substances? What is really the root cause of me continuing to go out and destruct my life, even though I don't want to? Like, why do I keep turning to these abusive relationships when I know like this isn't what I want? How come I keep saying yes when I want to say no? And why do I keep saying yes when I want to say no? There are so many questions that allowed me to open up pathways to understand my true heart and to understand that I was living from a place that wasn't even authentically me. And so, what I had found within Blueprint to the Heart, this is really my how. I am Elaine, and I have this narrative where I completely switched over this story of like from complete dark in the gutter type of narrative to now I love and empathic and compassionate towards everybody, towards all the perpetrators, and I see them as just hurting people. And what I'm saying is that so I have this narrative that I completely switched over, and this blueprint is the how I did that. And so this goes through this whole blueprint. This book is 258 pages where it dives into we have first world events, and it goes into generational trauma, childhood development, because when we are developing in our mother's womb is parts when we are developing and versus what is happening in our mother's experience while she's pregnant with us, it is so closely correlated. And also the type of nurturing that we get along our childhood's development is imperative to how we function within the society today. And so I go into all of those stages. I go into like we take a look at our parents' upbringing and what that looked like for them. So we're able to understand and empathize and maybe learn some compassion for our parents. I go into childhood trauma and what that looks like and how to also learn how to work with that. And then I go into how we build connections into then what our parents' relationship look like the role models that we had for how we build our relationships. That was a core piece of how we make relationships today. So I have reconnecting with our inner child, which also brings in shadow work and archetype work. Then I also have like understanding and cultivating radical compassion for oneself. Then I have how we are able to tune into our authentic heart and actually take aligned action from that versus when we try to overpower and make our way through life instead of allowing life to happen through us. Then I also, to conclude with all of this, I have a way for us to be able to learn how to actually speak. So our language empowers our growth instead of deconstructing and holding us from actually blooming where we are planted. And so I have all these amazing, wonderful pages in here full of questions, over 100 questions to be able to have difficult conversations with people that you might not want to have a conversation with, but it might very well be needed. There are at least 2 meditations and visualizations for every chapter. I go through connecting the oils, herbs, aromatherapy, crystals and chakras for every layer in here and how to cultivate that and integrate that. Also giving you art exercises along with infographics. And in the very beginning, I have a dream journal that we can take use of and also have daily and nightly journals. I mean, there's just so many amazing things in here that is huge for learning your how to connect back to your authentic heart. And I'm so excited to share more with you on this journey. And I'm so excited for you to check it out. The link will be in the description. And I'm sending so much love.